What's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of McLean's Man Cave. Today we got another tier list video. I decided to do all the Star Wars movies for this tier list. As you can see, I was going to do the shows, but I'm just going to stick to the movies just because there are quite a few now. And as you can see in this bottom corner here, we have the Garbage Wars sequels. I will not refer them to the sequels. They're just terrible, and that's why I even have them as smaller and just on the bottom. And I think my face is right by it. It's kind of giving me the heebie-jeebies just being that close to the Garbage Wars. You know what? Let's start at Phantom Menace. So Phantom Menace got a lot of flack when it first came out. I was 4 or 5 years old when the movie first came out. I loved it originally. I loved it for different reasons than what I love about it now. I actually think Phantom Menace was amazing. I'm gonna put it at A tier. A lot of people are thinking I'm crazy right now, but I'm gonna tell you why. I think this has what a lot of movies lack, because I think a lot of movies they just want to make it for people that don't want to think. They just whatever, I just want to see explosions and stuff like that. This was really ahead of its time movie, really good writing, story development, and it's completing a story from the original trilogy, talking about Anakin's rise from a kid up until Sith Lord. And the music was incredible. Duel of Fates, I mean, come on, that official soundtrack beats all of the soundtracks of all the Star Wars movies. That's one. Best choreography, I mean, come on, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Maul fight. I mean, you could look up that choreographed fight of Last Jedi. That was terrible. I don't even know if it's Last Jedi, but whatever. I really actually liked the galactic politics of seeing how the Confederates broke off from the Galactic Republic, and all the little subtle things that are not necessarily spelled out for us. There's actually a really interesting video where on YouTube where the guy kind of talks about Phantom Menace kind of right before the movie, and kind of all the events that led up to the movie. I think it was in books, but he basically makes it into a simple cartoon that literally anyone can understand. I think it's really, really cool. I might even link it down below in the description, just because I think that if you watched it, I think you would have a way better appreciation of Phantom Menace. But I mean, also we got Liam Neeson in there, and got Natalie Portman when she's a kid, and Ewan McGregor. So what else can you ask? Listen, it deserves the A tier, 100%. I don't care what you say. Moving on to Attack of the Clones. A lot of people hated this one too. I'm really choosing between A and B. I'm going to also put it in A, while a lot of people are going to be like, they hate me. But listen to me. Listen, Attack of the Clones, what I loved about Attack of the Clones was, although Anakin is the main protagonist of the prequels, what you gotta realize with Attack of the Clones, what I thought was cool, was that there was no true antagonist. Anakin was the protagonist, but there was, Mace Windu was, doing his own thing. Obi-Wan was trying to figure out who is this bounty hunter that's trying to assassinate Padme, and Anakin is falling in love with Padme on a different planet, and all these main characters are kind of doing their own thing, and it's all enveloped in the same plot, which I love. I love that. Kind of really just expands the galaxy. It's not so tunneled, and it's just these are the main characters and this is what they go through. It's kind of really expanding everything. I really like that too. Everyone talks about Hayden Christensen and blah blah blah. I actually think he did a great job, and I'm not saying this because it came out in 2002 when I was 7. What I am saying, I mean, for example, when everyone refers to that line with the sand where he says, I don't like sand, it gets everywhere, it's coarse, it's not like you, blah blah blah. Everyone's like, oh, that's terrible writing. But when you think about it, Anakin never really saw any girl ever in his life, except for Padme when he was a little kid, and now he sees her after many years past. So clearly, he doesn't have the social skills and the Rico Suave moves. I mean, he's training to be a Jedi. They're not really allowed to form emotional attachments, especially with females, in his case. So yeah, of course, that sounded dorky and weird because he didn't know better. I mean, come on, stop with that. Like, if you really want to see Hayden Christensen do a really good job, I mean, look at when Anakin's mom Shmi got taken by the Tusken Raiders, and when he went to go fight them and kill them off, and then eventually when Padme confronted him, and you could really see like the anger and hatred and sadness and all that, you know, really deep within that. That was great acting, and I thought he did a great job. Also, I gotta give a shout out. I mean, this is where the clones come in. I love the clones. And I'm a Phase 1 clone guy. The T-visors, those are, I think I like the Phase 1 clones a little bit more than Phase 2 clones. I loved especially the end of the movie with the Battle of Geonosis, amazing. And just like that ending scene where all the clones are out, you know, in their formations. Palpatine's like looking out into all the armies, and you can subtly hear, no one really picks up on this except real Star Wars fans, but you could subtly hear the Empire theme, like Darth Vader's theme, playing in the background, kind of mixed within the song very subtly. So you can kind of see like these premonitions of what's to come, the foreshadowing. So I just loved it. I mean, a lot of people don't really pick up on these things, but it was really, really great, I think so. I mean, and also just think of the choreography as well, with the Count Dooku, Anakin, and Obi-Wan fighting. It didn't necessarily have the happiest ending, which also is a good thing, because it gets boring when it's always a happy ending. So that's why Attack of the Clones is A tier. Moving on to Revenge of the Sith. This is an easy no-brainer. This might be my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. Revenge of the Sith takes the cake. You don't even need to know why this is the best. If you haven't watched it, what are you doing? Put that thing on right now and watch that. This wraps up, you know, the entire story of Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. I mean, it started off amazing with the space battles. General Grievous was really cool. You know, just kind of seeing Palpatine manipulate Anakin, and that whole rundown of Mace Windu, Anakin, and Palpatine, and Order 66. It was amazing. And then to top it off, you know, with Mustafar, that ending, just amazing. I got it, you know, with the soundtrack, with the choreography, with the special effects, with the writing, George Lucas knocked it out of the park. Revenge of the Sith, best Star Wars movie of all time. All right, now we're going into some of the, you know, not so good, well, this one at least, Solo, a Star Wars story. I'm gonna put this at D. I really didn't like this movie. I mean, like, in terms of what people like now for movies, like the average movie watcher that's not necessarily a Star Wars fan, oh yeah, it's great, you know, spaceships and explosions and fighting, yeah, who doesn't love that? But that's not Star Wars. Star Wars is not always, it's not all about that. Even George Lucas said it himself. It's not about all the explosions. It's really about the story and the galaxy and all the stories in between. And another reason why I kind of liked the prequel movies, it really expanded the galaxy. This kind of felt, like I said, narrow-minded, like, you know, these are the characters, this is what they're doing. Oh, we found another character, okay, whatever. And you know what? I was going to put this at the C category, but what really put me in the D category is the Summa Verminoth. And if you don't remember, this is that random creature that randomly appeared while they're in space, you know, making the Kessel Run or whatever. And all of a sudden they're in space, a giant space creature comes out them, and I only saw the movie once, so correct me if I'm wrong, but they fire the escape pod into a black hole or something, and the Summa Veminoth chases it and gets destroyed, and they escape somehow. And this is actually real. It says that, you know, the Summa Veminoth, wow, I hate this. Summa Veminoth was not originally in the script, but was in a late addition approved by director Ron Howard. This guy and whoever made this idea and the director clearly weren't Star Wars fans. They're just like, space creature, space, explosions, black holes, that sounds like Star Wars. Let's put it in there. And clearly it's not consistent at all with the Star Wars universe with Star Wars Galaxy, it said it first appeared. So I don't want someone to say, oh, but I think it was on the first appeared in that movie. That's why I'm putting it in D category. Bad movie. If you didn't see it, you don't need to watch it. Moving on to Rogue One. S tier? Yes, it is definitely S tier. And a lot of people are going to say, but Matt, this is a Disney movie. And I'm going to say, no, it's not really a Disney movie. George Lucas basically had this story done already. And then when he sold it off to Disney, they basically were like, whoa, we got a great story. Let's just, put our Disney name on it. Boom, done. And that's why it was amazing, because it wasn't written by them, from my understanding. Rogue One, another great Star Wars movie. This one you have to watch. What I loved about this movie is the real range of characters, not really like narrow, just like, oh, we're just going to focus on these characters. Just all these characters kind of doing their own thing. They even bring in, with Forrest Whitaker, Saw Gerrera, who's amazing. The actor's amazing, the character amazing, seen in Clone Wars, seen in Rebels, seen in a lot of the lore. So it was really great to see a lot of these, consistency with the story. It was gritty. It was like tense, very visually appealing. But like I said, it didn't have like the happiest ending, and that's okay, because like sometimes you're kind of expecting the happy ending at all times, and when it doesn't happen, you're like, whoa, that just hit me. Excellent movie. Excellent movie. That really deserves to be, that might be the number 2 movie if Revenge of the Sith is number 1. Moving on to A New Hope. Alright, so I gotta be kind to this one. I'm not putting it in C. I think I'm gonna put it in B. I'm gonna be kind to it because it was the first of its kind. George Lucas was really going out on a limb, putting his creative side out there. To be honest, this is not my favorite from the original trilogy. I think it started off a little too slow. Like that kind of like after they C-3PO and R2-D2 escaped the Tantive 4 and crashed on Tatooine, they were just kind of wandering in the desert for like, I felt like almost 20 minutes. It just wasn't doing it for me. They were like wandering too much, a little bit too slow, especially for a beginning, movie. Although the characters kind of came all together, it kind of just felt like, all right, we formed a team and we won, and it kind of just, Luke Skywalker made like a pretty easy transition from like a farm boy, at the moisture farms to literally just, oh yeah, I'm a rebel and we're gonna blow up the Death Star tomorrow. I mean, it was a good movie. Like I said, I gotta be kind to it because it's the first of its kind. It was my favorite. I could always expand on it, but for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna move on. Empire Strikes Back. This one probably my favorite of the original trilogy. Is it gonna get A? Is it gonna get S? You know what? I'll give it S. I'll give it S just because of that emotion it provides. It started out with Hoth, amazing. The story really had good pacing throughout. And then, just like when everyone thinks of Star Wars, they always think of Luke, I am your father. And that's what this movie is known for. It's just probably the most memorable. And again, it didn't have necessarily the happiest outcome. So this is the kind of common theme. A lot of people kind of like movies that have such grit and like intensity and not necessarily the happiest outcome, because then you're like, whoa, is it going to change? Is this the end or whatever? It kind of leaves you on your seat. So Empire Strikes Back, I'm going to give that an S tier. Moving on to Return of the Jedi. I'm going to really have to put Return of the Jedi. It's going to be either B or A. I'll put it at A. I thought it was pretty good. I really liked how they focused on, with the beginning of like rescuing Han, because like they did it in a good way of like pacing, and they didn't rush it. Didn't take too long, and kind of good progression through the story. My only like real thing was kind of, the Death Star. Blowing it up once, it's kind of like, okay. Blowing it up a second time, it's kind of like, even though wasn't completed or whatever. It's kind of like, okay, how many times are we going to blow up this thing? I know this time the Emperor really died. You find out, you get to see who Darth Vader really was, and there is that happy ending, but it's kind of just like, it wasn't as gritty. Kind of felt a little bit like light-hearted with the Ewoks and everything. I don't know. I'm just gonna put it at A. Still really good grade. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not gonna be like the next three, but I kind of wish they tweaked Return of the Jedi a little bit, but still pretty good. Okay, now we're going to Garbage Wars. Okay, Force Awakens, F. Yeah, Force Awakens, a lot of people were like really excited when this first came out. I mean, I was kind of excited to see where things go. Let me just tell you, if you haven't seen Force Awakens, watch A New Hope first, and then watch Force Awakens right after. And let me tell you, they're the same exact story, just with a different cast, and that's it. That's basically, and the Death Star is basically like a shotgun. Instead of like a single blast and blows up one planet, it's a shotgun and blows up multiple planets. Like, how creative, how original. I mean, it was quite literally the exact same as A New Hope. This girl doesn't remember who her parents are, lives on desert planet, finds out she's a Jedi. Like, oh my god, okay, like, sounds just like Luke Skywalker. And then they kind of had it a little bit interesting with Finn, like he's a stormtrooper that, left the First Order, whatever that is. And they could have fleshed some stuff out there, but it really didn't pan out at all. And it just doesn't make sense with Finn's character at all. He says he was a janitor, I'm pretty sure. Then in the beginning scene, he's on a strike team. He goes out with the strike team. He sees one of his comrades die, and he decides, now's a good time for me to desert the New Order, or the First Order, or whatever. Not before, or whatever. Now I'm going to do it, because apparently they take janitors as people that are storming a village. And then also he apparently knows, the special coordinates or whatever to get right past the shielding of the Star Killer base. Apparently the janitors know that too. So I just had a lot of problems with this movie. I mean, killing off Han Solo was probably the dumbest thing they ever could have done. It really just reminded me of, like, imagine, like, me as a little kid getting bullied liking Star Wars, and those people that are like, Star Wars is lame. It's basically like they wrote the movie. It's like, let's pick on the Star Wars nerds. Who do they like that's Han Solo? Let's kill him off just to get the Star Wars fans mad. That's kind of what it felt like. It was like people that didn't know Star Wars at all, just kind of like, yeah, I know this galaxy Solar Wars thing. Like, no. So Force Awakens, bad. I know a lot of people say, oh, isn't that bad compared to the other two? That's not saying much. They were all bad. Moving on to The Last Jedi, bad. Let's get the big F on board, F in chat, for all the wrong reasons. Last Jedi, probably the worst movie of all time. And again, I say it, the worst movie of all time, not Star Wars. Just terrible, terrible, terrible. None of it made sense. I mean, it literally felt like, someone from Mars was like, oh, what's the humans all talking about? Star Wars? I think we can make something about that. And let's make Leia fly through space. Yeah, that's what Jedis do. No, she literally got shot out in space and literally just flew back in the ship like a superhero. Woo! That's not Star Wars. Literally, this movie made no sense. It was absolutely horrible. Absolutely hated it. And then they killed Luke off. Again, it's the same thing. It's just like, let's piss off the Star Wars fans. I know they're not going to live forever, but it's like, let's just take that jab at them. Like, we're going to put our narrative. Kind of felt kind of just political and weird. I don't know. I didn't like it. There's great videos on good reviews where they really go in depth and tear this movie apart from limb to limb, because it was a terrible movie. But that's for another video. Star Wars Last Jedi, terrible. You know what? It's so bad, I'm going to put it in this category. I'm going to call it the F- category. It was so bad. Yeah. And then we have Return of the whoa. Okay, let me put some respect on this name. This is Return of the Jedi in the A category. This is the Rise of Skywalker crap that I'm going to put in F category. This movie was also terrible. The Emperor comes back somehow, whatever. I know they're alluding little things in the new shows like Bad Batch and Mando and things like that about how the Emperor got cloned. No, the Emperor's dead. He fell down a whole big hole and he blew up. Don't bring him back just because. That's not Star Wars. It doesn't make sense. The whole movie didn't make sense. It's like, oh, we got to get this holocron. It was a Sith holocron. I don't even remember what it was. They get it. Apparently, they don't even need it. Then they find this dagger. That dagger didn't make sense either. Nothing. It was just like, what do you call those things where you're like looking for treasure hunt something? I don't know what it's called, but none of it made sense. And then when they finally got to Exegol, then all of a sudden these Star Destroyers miraculously come up out of nowhere, fully staffed. Where is the Emperor getting his staff? I don't know. It just didn't make sense. And then, Rey, you are not a Skywalker. You will never be a Skywalker. I have no problems with the Garbage Wars cast. Daisy Ridley and Boyega and all the great actors. I have no problems with them. Just the characters and how they were fleshed out. That's what I have a problem with. She is Rey Palpatine. She will never be Rey Skywalker. Also, where the hell all of a sudden, Kylo Ren becomes a good guy and then they have a romance with Rey? Makes no sense. Yeah, so that's where I'm gonna, how about this? We're putting all of these in the F- category. This is how bad they are. And that's where they'll stay. You know what? How about this? We're just gonna delete them because they're not Star Wars. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay, great. So, if you liked that video, hit that like button. If you didn't like this video, hit that dislike button twice. Consider subscribing to the channel. I'm going to try to have some more tier list videos because I'm starting to kind of like doing things like that. Thinking about, I'm not even going to give you the ideas yet. You're going to have to wait and see. So subscribe to the channel to see all that I got coming up to the channel. All right, guys, take care.